Hello and happy mid-November. My name is Jonathan Bernos. I'm your customer success manager. Welcome to our channel. Today we're going to be covering the release notes for November. Release and deploy notes. Funny story as we begin here. Actually, we're meant to record these yesterday. I actually sat down, went through all the release notes, the deploy notes. Thought it went really well. It was a one take, and I went to kind of final cut the recording and realized I never hit the record button. So at least I had some practice to doing the release notes this time. All right, I think I had some good jokes in that one too, and I just they're gone now. So whatever happened, maybe they'll come back as we're just gonna kind of make our way through this. It's the best way to do it. Every time's a little bit different every recording. This one's going to be more of a free flow. Sometimes I have slides that I like to walk you through. This time I think I'm going to do more of a live demonstration, walking through the notes, talking about some best practices, feedback that I've received. I'd like to get these out a little bit earlier in the month. As you probably are aware, if you're receiving this during the week of the mid part of November here before the 16th, today's actually Thursday the 14th, leaves us a couple days before the release hits over the weekend. The great thing about the release this weekend is everything, the big items that we're going to talk about today, they're all feature options, meaning they're off by default. So you have some time to turn them on. You have more time to test in your beta, or you can take a look at them in production before you enable them. Also, it's kind of a good thing that I didn't go into the release notes yet or haven't published them yet. We saw some changes that were made here in the last week or so. I expected some changes. We'll talk about that in the recording today in the webinar. Those changes occurred from making some adjustments to the release. So talk about that. I think they're good adjustments, but we'll make our way through. Let's begin. So showing the Instructure community, it's always a great starting point. I want to promote, before we get too far into this, I want to promote two things. One, we have office hours next week. Please feel free to drop in. These are open times. These are for you. This is a resource for you. If no one takes advantage of office hours, then I'm still going to be on, and I'm still available to answer questions. Questions that come up, workflow, instructors that have questions, faculty, please feel free to send them. It's a great resource for them. There's not a lot of other opportunities they get to get in front of somebody from Instructure and in front of somebody from Canvas to ask questions. So definitely take advantage of that. It also kind of helps you. So if you have those questions coming into you, not quite sure where to turn, feel free to redirect them over into the office hours. I do record this webinar and office hours. The audience is a faculty or an instructor. I haven't had anybody do this yet, but most of the content that I cover really not meant for end users. So, please just keep it between the administrators and the faculty. It really isn't geared towards students. So there's different channels and different resources for them. This is all going to be for instructors. And again, our Canvas administrators as a help. So that was number one. I wanted to promote that. Number two, I also wanted to promote, I forgot. I got office hours. It'll come to me. I'll think of it. What was I going to promote? I don't remember anymore. We're going to move on. All right, it's been a week. All right, so looking at the Instructure community, this is a great place to start if you're ever unsure. And, the recordings. We have a YouTube channel. Check that out. That's where you'll find all the recordings. I don't know what the office hours theme will be next week. We'll continue to work on that. We'll talk about holiday hours and all of that good stuff as well. So Instructure, the homepage of the community. Let's go down to take a look at some other areas here in the community that I like to promote. There's a lot. This is a nice feature. There is a community weekly highlight that happens. We should see one next week. This one covers the 5th through the 11th. Within these community highlights, this is off the homepage of the community, you'll find plugs for upcoming events. You'll also find product updates. This will link out to the blog posts that I typically share on calls, feature updates. So good information here. The weekly summary, they're frequent, recurring, and you can bookmark these pages if you don't want to miss. The best thing about them is the community updates. And so again, some of these things have already taken place, but you'll see if there's any future events that look interesting that you'd like to take part in. The Instructure live events are I think really beneficial. So use those as resources as well. Also take a look at recent posts. Of course, the community guides are here as well. Any group information that's being shared. If you scroll down a little bit further, you have community activity. I think this is helpful at times. If you take a look, we have some of our community champions that are here from both ends, either from Instructure, Canvas, or from many of you, many institutions out there. We have course champions, advocates. We get feedback. So this is a great place to check every once in a while. Scroll down to the bottom of the page, check out the comments, activity to see what's going on. Okay, let's jump back up. We're going to go into the release notes area because we're going to talk through the deploy and the release notes today. I'm only going to focus on Canvas for today. There are some updates you can check in some of the other areas if you're interested in Canvas Mobile. If you're interested in Studio, Catalog, Credentials, and so on, Impact is over here. It's a separate product. Take a look at those. They all have their own release notes pages. They all have their own community guides. So we're going to go into Canvas. Off this dashboard page, if you're interested in looking at guide information, the nice thing is you have your user roles down here. Other helpful resources along the top. Quickest way to get into the release notes themselves is here to the right. And again, right below that, you'll see we have notes, or we have recent activity, product blog featured. In the notes page itself, I prefer to go into all release notes in case I want to go backwards and take a look at some things. I like the Canvas releases page because really quick and accessible is the release calendar. Remember, we have releases once a month. We also have deploys twice a month. I'm going to cover both deploys quickly. The release notes, a little bit more detail. Release notes are typically new features, something new that hasn't been introduced before. Deploys can be enhancements to existing functionality. We also use deploys to roll out fixes. So if you are tracking any kind of a Jira, any kind of engineering ticket with our support team, and you're wanting to know status on that, it's a great time to check around deploy dates. You can also message support through the case that you have, asking for an update, and sometimes you'll get an update around those deploy dates, as that's when we roll the code. And take a look at the release calendar, just to point out a couple things that are a little bit unique for the holiday break. We're looking at production going in over the weekend. Again, we'll talk through the release notes. Notice when we publish the release notes for the next month, we typically do that on a Wednesday. This will be Wednesday, November 20th. That's when you can look forward to seeing the December release. I can say in the holiday break, as we get into December, it typically gets pretty quiet. I wouldn't expect much for December. We don't like to roll out a lot of new features and we don't like to roll code in that time period, as we see that many faculty administrators are kind of winding things down, focused on getting grades submitted, and then taking those well-deserved holiday vacations and breaks. Notice we will see the production release date published also in December. Has not been picked yet. We typically move that around the holidays, so maybe a little bit earlier in the month of December. But this is a great calendar to take a look at if you're curious about when your beta or your test instance will refresh, if you track that based on your own testing within beta. But all of the features, typically with a release, before they hit production, they're going to be in beta about 30 days before they hit that production date. That gives plenty of time for test and feedback. Feedback can make modifications to the releases. So it's just something to point out. A great feedback may push a release back if it's not quite ready to come out yet. But we typically roll those things into your beta instance for testing around the date that the release notes are published. So we'll usually look around that for us, November 20th. Perfect. I'm going to scroll back up because I want to go into our deploys for today. Our deploy notes for November 6th. Let's go for this one first because it's already passed and this has already happened. You'll take a look down below. Interface updates. We have some enhancements or just modifications to announcements. The notification option for announcements and Blueprint courses, for example, now notifies you, or you can push notifications out when you make changes to those Blueprint courses. Account settings, these are small. Again, limit name pronunciations, editing by user role. Both of these are admin settings or admin features. User settings, pronouns now are fully removed when settings are disabled. That was another thing that when you disabled pronouns after using them, they still remained. So that's kind of a quick fix on the deploy there. Other updates, main thing here, preserve group category name during assignment copy. This is an instructor feature that was delayed, but has rolled out since. It was delayed from last month. So just to kind of point that out if you're waiting on it from the October deploy. Canvas deploy notes for 11/20 upcoming. This is going to be after our production date. I wouldn't look for any huge changes here. Interface updates again, both for people. One is impacting students, the other one for instructors. The group visit link remains, and then group leadership tooltip for the instructor role. Discussions, we have a save threaded visibility preference. This is for all users. This one was a push from October. SpeedGrader, the modernized SpeedGrader platform. This is just kind of ongoing enhancements to SpeedGrader, which I'll point out another section here a little bit later to find more information about that. All right, let's jump into the big, ultimate, important release notes for November. All right, in the release notes, here are the biggest features that I want to cover. We're going to talk about multiple due dates for discussions, also known as discussions checkpoints. We've been waiting on this one for a while. We're also going to look at AI translation tools, which was part of the roadmap rollout, and some adjustments there. Other options and other things that are happening within the release notes. If we're looking at grading, gradebook, account level default grading scheme. This was introduced in October, kind of had some push or some straggling into November. In production over the weekend, 11/16. Take a look at the related ideas and how this came about, but this is really just bringing in an account level grading scheme option that can be set by default and then push down into the courses, of course, so they have a starting point. If you allow through permissions your instructors to add their own grading schemes, they have something to start with that's selected at the account level. So kind of a nice feature. Gotten a little bit of feedback on that in the past, and so this is kind of a nice little enhancement. Gives you more flexibility with choosing that grading scheme. All right, let's bounce into feature options. Remember, feature options are those are items or enhancements that are added into your settings. They're typically off by default, and you would need to enable them to take advantage of the feature. That's why they're options. Let's take a look at this one. This one was not in beta early. So sometimes we don't have features or feature options in beta for testing. This one's going to roll out into beta at the same time that it hits production over the weekend. Preserve group set during assignment copy has an impact on administrators and for instructors. When copying group assignments from one course to another, this allows a new group set with the same name as the original that is now created in the destination course if no matching group set exists. Previously, this functionality did not exist. Copied group assignments were automatically linked to existing matching group set in the destination course or the defaulted over to the project group set if no other match was found. So a little bit of a modification here, hopefully giving a little more flexibility. Then we have discussions. All right, this is one of the this is one of the changes recently as of last week. This has been delayed. So AI translation tool was coming to discussions. It's still in beta, so even though there is a delay on it, you can still test it in beta until it hits production. I would venture to say for this type of enhancement or this tool, we won't see it until January. If we do see a push November to December, we typically don't like to roll code or something big in December. Again, going because of the amount of vacations and time off that we see. So I'm anticipating, even though it hasn't been published, it's probably going to be out in January. Gives more time to test. This was delayed based on your feedback. There were many questions about this tool in discussions as it relates to language courses. This is a feature option that's off by default, must be turned on. But when it is on, it's an all on or all off kind of deal. So if you're enabling this at the account level or the sub account level, then everyone has access to it. And if you turn it off, then no one has access to it. So there's not really a way to kind of at a granular, a smaller level, course by course level to turn it off. If you have those language courses that really don't want to have a translation tool built into maybe some of their assignment discussion threads that are assignments and so on, or have point values. So that's, I think, probably a main reason. Maybe I'm speculating a little bit, but that's just my feel based on some of the feedback, and I'm still waiting on some of those answers to roll in off of this feature. There is a screencast down below, about a 2-minute video describing this one. AI translations, it's part of a much bigger tool that will continue to roll out over time. All right, this is the big one. Multiple due dates. Oh, this has a delay. Okay. It's in beta. I don't have any updates on this. I'm glad I made the video today, not yesterday. Multiple due dates for discussion checkpoints. Great thing, this is a very big feature. We've been waiting on this for a while. We still should have more time for testing, which isn't a bad thing for spring. This is going to have to do with permissions that allow instructor to create discussions and moderate discussions. Overall, the checkpoints has an impact on everyone, students and instructors. take a look at the checkpoints FAQ down below as documentation. Related blog also update why we changed it to a feature option. It wasn't that before. Now it is. Basically, being able to create a graded discussion. Instructors can now set multiple due dates or checkpoints to accommodate different stages of a discussion process. So lots of accompanying documentation here, screenshots to kind of show. But I think what's even more important is down below at the bottom, we see another screencast. This is a 4-minute recording. The great thing about screencasts, these recordings, is they can be embedded. These are actually captured and stored in Studio, so you can actually embed them into your own instances and you won't have any issues. Or you can embed them into your own content if you're using them as a training video. So feel free to do that. Finally, there's one more translation tool. This is tied closely to discussions. This was also for the inbox. Same, we have a delay on this. Again, I wouldn't anticipate any of these bigger feature options until January now that we have the delay from your feedback. So plenty of time to test. Continue to beta test this. If you have questions about how it might be used, let me know. Happy to have some one-off calls and walk through this with you. So another big feature, SpeedGrader. This is just ongoing improvements to SpeedGrader, the overall experience or UI. This began in October. It will continue to run until completion in January 18th. Again, it should be before spring kicks off. Plenty of time to test. You won't see any triggers or anything you need to do to test. You're just able to go into beta and kind of see some of the improvements as they happen there. Many of the improvements, they're not going to be flagged as improvements. You're just going to hopefully see some overall improvements on streamlined interface for the section drop-down menu, clear, more prominent, no submission alerts, improved interface overall or UI for courses without content, and so on. So just keep an eye on that. Continue to test. Just ongoing improvements to SpeedGrader. Other updates. This is an update to your for Canvas Data 2 users. Must be done through a data access platform, also known as the DAP. We are slowly migrating everyone over to a DAP. Before, you kind of had to do the manual process where we needed to you had to indicate that you wanted to use it. We would make those moves. You'll see DAP linked into or the resources for it in your analytics hub area. Pointing to that, but you'll have more documentation and information there. There's a related blog post here as well. This will take place throughout the month of November, so by the time you watch this, you'll be pretty close to, you should be migrated over to the DAP if you're wanting to use Canvas Data 2 or the API services. Just increases overall efficiency and frequency of how often you can pull the data. If you have questions or you're wanting to know if you have been migrated, just reach out to your customer success manager. That's me, and I can look it up for you to see if you've been migrated over. All right, authentication. This isn't that great. It's an admin feature. It's enforcement of OpenID, Connect RP, blah, blah, blah. That's what I think about authentication. So other stuff in here, check out the changelog if you're interested. That's like the matrix. All I see is code now. All right. That's good stuff. Let's bounce up to the top of the release notes. One other area I want to talk about today. Is the resource roundup. I've been talking about this a lot. I would much rather talk about this stuff than I would release notes. That's why I make these videos, because I only have to do it one time, or I only do it twice because I forgot to record it yesterday. So I'm doing it again. I think this time is better though. All right. Release a roundup, resource roundup. This is updated over time. It just says the last update was September. This is when they rolled it out. This hopefully will continue quarterly. I have seen some updates to the page without it updating the date. There's a couple things that have been introduced, like self-serve user data export. Also the block editor, which is being worked on. That's exciting. There's some AI components integrated into the block editor. Here's what this is. This is all and everything that's being currently updated. That's part of the roadmap for this quarter, for next quarter, beginning of next year. This is exciting stuff. This is, if you want updated information, resources on where these enhancements are at, this is the page to go to. Your workflows are on top. Your innovation is in the middle. What I want to pull out of the innovation piece, I know I don't normally do sales in selling stuff during our release notes webinar, but I do want to talk about some really good opportunities with Intelligent Insights. If you don't know yet what Intelligent Insights entails, it's free to get a demo. It doesn't cost anything. The great thing about a demonstration is you can ask questions and we can answer some of those in-depth questions, because the components of Intelligent Insights are a needed component. It's stuff I've been hearing about for 4+ years at Instructure. about this type of data that's being supplied. The reason why there's a cost and why it's a premium for Intelligent Insights and why it's not just rolled up into Canvas is because it's customized. It's allowing you to customize your data so you can see in a customized report or display that might be a little bit different from other schools out there, right? We have reports built, canned reports for general needs for everyone, but when you have a specific needs on and how you want to use that data, more consultative, how can we use this to better ourselves, to better usage, to better adoption? That's custom, and custom has a price tag. But it's worth taking a look at and evaluating because we have a lot of introductory specials and offers to get people into using it so that we can get feedback. There's a benefit for both that keeps the price pretty low. So if you're not quite sure, take a look at it. I would point to the community guides for Intelligent Insights. The biggest component, one that's the most popular, is the LTI usage report. Whether you're getting that or you're able to get this through Impact Services or Intelligent Insights, if you're already an Impact user, it's something to reach out to me about, and we can talk a little bit more about. Either or, depending on which service is more interesting, both would be fantastic. But Intelligent Insights, the LTI usage report is very detailed. If you're wanting to see, what's going on with LTIs, there's a lot of benefit to knowing how LTIs are being used, how much, which LTIs are being used the most, especially the ones you pay for. If you have premium services and you're paying for LTIs, wouldn't it be great to know if your instructors are actually using what you're paying for? That's what the LTI usage report, that's where it can be very, very helpful. So you can see launches, you can see unique users, you can see your power users, your top 5 champions of using the LTI. And you can drill down into this data. So there's additional reporting behind this. This has been asked for a long time. There's always interest in LTIs because if you can cut out, you can cut out some of the expense that's not necessary because maybe you can find that same functionality within Canvas and we're level setting to see where that's at, or maybe there's a better LTI out there that's less money, or maybe it's free. That's what this LTI usage report can be for. So definitely check it out. In addition to that, Ask Your Data is just super sweet, using artificial intelligence to basically build queries behind the scenes with APIs to pull out custom data. There's all kinds of stuff you can build with this. You're paying for the query, not for the amount of data that you pull, and you're not paying for the number of times you use it in recurring status. You're just paying for the number of queries that you would need to build these custom reports, which I think is definitely worth a demo. Also, students in need of attention. So drawing some lines on where the line might be, where if a student dips below that line based on their activity, based on what they're doing in Canvas, can we identify if a student is in need of assistance, or how can we provide those resources to them? And then we get lots and lots of questions about course readiness. For administrators, how can you tell if a course has gone through all of the check boxes, gone through all the motions to make sure that they are ready to be published? And even when they're in a published state, how can you be sure that your instructors are doing what they're supposed to within their Canvas courses? Then we have course readiness, again, tied into custom data, tied into be able to build something that's specific to your instance to see, is that course that's published or will be published, is it really ready to be published based on your criteria? So that's my plug for today is Intelligent Insights. It's a great tool. The more I see it used, the more feedback I'm getting on it. It's just there's not a better opportunity, not a better time to get into it early, just to see it. And again, there's no cost to demo this. We'd love to get it on your calendar. We'd love to just spend a little bit of time showing you some of these features, answering your questions. There's budget that becomes available in the future. This is a great tool to put a budget into because it's going to pay you back in the data that it provides. So let me know if you have questions about that. We'd love to get into that a little bit further. Again, check out the resource roundup page if you have more questions about what's happening out there. Would love to answer those questions and put some meetings on the calendar. In the future, you'll hear from me. We're going to be scheduling executive business reviews or quarterly business reviews so we can start reviewing some of your usage adoption data and talk through some of your configurations. Again, don't forget about office hours next week. I'd love to see you there. Bring your questions or just hang out. Drop in, drop out whenever at your leisure. You're not required to be there, but definitely take advantage of it as just an additional resource. It can take some of the things off of our plate that we meet about monthly, and we can just handle them during the office hours. So thank you guys again for tuning in. I hope these are helpful. Give me some feedback. If you've got great ideas, great projects you've been working on, you want to brag, maybe you want to show off a little bit, maybe you want to network more with other schools in your area, that's taking full advantage of your contracts. That's taking full advantage of the services we provide, is when you're able to reach out to other people, fully utilize, get the most bang for your buck. That's what I'm here for, the relationship side. So please include me in those conversations. Reach out, use me as a resource. I'm always happy to help, always happy to serve you. Thank you guys again. And I need like a catchy sign off. You stay classy, Southeast region. Is that good?